Hi, my name is Craig Frazier and I'm here at the Createx Colors facility in Connecticut, and we're going to do another installment of the long-awaited Candy Color Theory video. Now, if you remember in the past, what the Candy Color Theory videos are about is us showing the use of different colors and how to blend and add and create colors using the existing Candy 2.0 system from Createx. Today we're going to do a couple of flames, and I'm going to do one of them the lemon yellow and one of them the tequila yellow candy. Now, we've got a lot of questions back and forth on the differences between those two colors. The lemon yellow is more of a green yellow, where the tequila yellow is more of an orange yellow. And I've had people ask me questions like, well, do you just make a pure yellow? There is no such thing as pure yellow. There is no pure yellow in what's called reflection theory, only in projection theory. When you paint, you're doing what's called reflection color theory. There is no pure yellow. It's either a little on the green side or a little bit on the blue side, because the color wheel are a little bit on the red side, which is an orange spectrum yellow. We're going to show you the differences between the two and how some of the blends, greens and blues, affect the yellow in a different way, and how you may look and say, yeah, it's not that much of a difference, no big deal. You may turn around and say, oh, that's much better color. So this is really just a demonstration of the colors and how to use them together. So first off, I'm going to paint this one here a lemon yellow candy and this one the tequila yellow. So I'm going to mask off, because I don't want the overspray to get on this side. Mask off that flame. And I'm going to turn on the booth, get my mask on, and spray this one lemon yellow. I can't really talk when that booth's going, a little bit competitive on that with the white noise. But what I wanted to show you is this is just a single white coat, and it's still wet. I want to make sure it didn't get too wet. I tend to be kind of heavy-handed. And so I'm just spraying air on it right now. Normally I'd leave the booth running and get this one coat done. It's a little bit of a heavy for a wet coat, but it came on nice on this one. I'm going to come in for a second coat and probably do a third coat before I'm going to be done with this candy and get this color where I want it. If you're wondering what we're on top of, it's the brand new silver sealer, that the new silver autoborne sealer from Createx. It's extra sparkly. If you're used to the old sealer, trust me, this is not the original seal. This stuff is amazing. Matter of fact, we did an entire blown hydro boat with this as the base and put candies over it, and it just, in the sun, it just dances. Chris even added more. He added some Snow White sparklescent on top of this to make it even extra sparkly, which is kind of like an ice pearl that's in there. I'm drying this right now just with air. And if you're wondering from what I'm using right here, this is a modified version of the TH2. TH2 is a gun that Iwata recently released. Iwata Media and Ernest Iwata recently released it under Vault system. It's a limited edition release, so if you want to get one of these, grab them. It is one size bigger than the TH1. It's got the fan pattern and the airbrush pattern. This gun is freaking amazing. If you're doing scenic work or studio work or just a fine artist or automotive touch-ups, this gun is great. Now, the difference that most people see with this gun, they usually come with a little bit of a bigger cup or the screw-on small cup. Here at Createx, we've modified this for the PPS system, so we can pop this on and off, and that basically means we can use it just like a small spray gun, even though it is kind of closer to being an airbrush. But you saw it sprays phenomenally well as a small gun, which is a lot easier to clean up and to use for small objects than the LPH-80, which is usually my go-to gun. Plus, it puts a little bit more material out, this does, than this one. I didn't need that much material. So if you've got an LPH-80 or an LPH, the LPH-50, you want to get the other gun that you need in your arsenal, get a hold of Iwata, tell them you want a TH2. You might want to hint, make a modification so we can have PPS cups. Otherwise, you're going to have to talk to Createx about it. So this is getting dry. I kind of put it on there a little bit heavy. Without the air motion, it's going to take a little while on its own. So I'm just going to blow some air on it. And I'm going to do a couple more coats. And when we come back, I'll be done with this one and starting on the next. Okie doke. Got this about 4 coats is what I kind of dug it. It kind of worked out really good. And in between those coats, highly recommend using one of these babies. This is a little bit of an air dryer. It doesn't just spray air out of the hose, it also creates a Venturi effect and brings air from the back, so you can get a large volume, a large CFM volume of air blowing on the surface. And as we've mentioned before, you do not dry these paints with heat, you dry them with air motion. So I have this as my little cheater to help me get these coats dry in between faster. And we got 4 good coats of the lemon yellow Candy 2.0. And by the way, this is mixed kind of heavy. It's mixed 1 to 1. I kind of go a little bit heavy myself on it. If I was doing an entire vehicle, I'd go a little bit less than that. But in this case, that's just the way I roll. I'm going to go ahead and back mask this one now. It's dry enough to do that. And I've already switched over my TH2 to the Tequila Yellow, which is more of the orange spectrum yellow. You can look at quite a bit different. Both yellows, quite a bit different. Green yellow tone, red yellow tone. So let me turn the booth back on, and I will get about 4 coats on the same number of coats for good coverage on this, and then we'll start the fun with the color blending. Okie dokie, now we've got 4 good coats of our Tequila Yellow here to match our 4 good coats of Lemon Yellow on the other flame. And one thing I didn't show you, did a little magic editing here, is the very first coat I put on here, I hammered. I went too heavy and it beat it up a little bit. I tried blow drying it, tried to save it. Easier just to stop, grabbed a towel, a little 4011, wiped it right off. One of the nice things about working with the water-based Candy 2.0 system from Createx is you can do that kind of stuff without compromising. You start rubbing down a solvent-based candy with lacquer thinner, you're messing with the tape, you're messing with everything else, including the underlying base coat or clear that's sanded. In this situation, just wiped it off, dried it, came in and did it the right way second time, which I usually do. It takes a second time for me to get something right. Anyway, got this right here. I love this reveal, and the reason I do is because you're looking at this, you're like, oh, this is a lovely shade of yellow on the silver, until you compare it to this one, and you're like, oh, no, that's yellow, that's freaking orange. See, that's what happens when you look at only the second part of the word yellow, and you don't look at the first part that's like lemon or tequila or orange or whatever. Both yellows, but both are very, very different in the way that they appear in the long run. You do a whole car in this color, it looks great. This car looks great also. It can determine the kind of color spectrum you're going to use on your graphics and what looks best, and maybe your own personal preference. You may have a client that thinks that's yellow and that's orange. You may have a client that says, no, that's yellow, that's freaking green, lime green. Hey, they're both right. It's the beauty of custom painting. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to do a little bit of different spray outs on it. I'm going to spray one side of these. I'm going to come in with some poison green to show you how poison green reacts on top of this yellow and how poison green reacts on top of that yellow. Then we're going to tip it with a little bit of emerald green to see the difference. Then we're going to use Carib blue on this side to see the difference between using a Carib blue. And then I grabbed a grabber orange to go up from the bottom to show you how orange is going to look different on both of these. So that way you understand that you can't just say, oh, I want to do an orange fade on a yellow. Be a little bit more specific on that one. So let me go ahead and get a little piece of tape so I can mask this area off, and we'll load up the first airbrush with poison green and do our little comparison and contrast spraying. Now I've got 2 coats on here already. I'm going to put on a third, maybe even a fourth. This is a very, very subtle green. Out of all of the greens, the poison green is very, very subtle. Now, if that's what you want, this is the perfect color for you. And it's a great lime green. The reason it doesn't show much on this is this color is already very lemony and limey. You see, this color is kind of turning a different kind of shade. I know that some people call this like a candy apple, where you actually start layering green on top of an orange or like a tequila yellow, and you'll get like a candy apple look. Use this to get some more air on it, dry it. I'll only do one more coat on here. I want you to see how subtle the green is, and then when we come in with we're going to come in with the emerald, it's going to really pop out. Okay, did one more coat on there, so we've got about 4 coats of the poison green on there. You see, it's real super subtle. When I unmask you, you'll see the difference between this coming up to here, but I want to show you how drastic the difference will be when you add emerald. Emerald is a much stronger pigment. Doesn't mean it's a better pigment, it's a different pigment. It's really tough to get a really great, bright, deep, limey lime green with emerald. Very easy to do it with poison. And you can spike poison, like I mentioned, you can spike all these colors together. You don't need to mix them what I call dry layer, and you can wet layer them too. I'm going to come in with this emerald green and just come from the tip. And look how drastic this changes just with the first like dry pass. You don't even have to hit it that wet. Same thing here on this one. This one you really don't need to do that many coats. I'll just blow dry this. I was hitting these wet with the poison. I'll hit this just with air and then do one more tip at the very end to give you the darkest version of it. And that's it with the emerald green. So we got our poison that we blended down and we tipped it with emerald. And then you can see the difference if you compare them. You're going to end up getting, when you start dealing with greens and oranges, because green's got blue in it. And orange itself, orange and blue are complementaries, which there's 3 different complementary systems out there. I always tell people Lakers, Broncos, and Christmas, because you got green and red, you got blue and orange, and you got purple and yellow. Those colors mixed together, which are combinations of one primary and one secondary, when mixed together will actually darken. They'll actually they'll just darken. They don't kill the chroma, they kind of drop the value and change the chroma. So when over here, you've got nothing but yellow and blue, which makes green, on yellow. So there's no complementary issue going on here whatsoever. These colors just go right in and blend very nicely and create a really cool color. This one, it's actually very, very dark, and it starts giving, if you ever wonder how to make an olive drab color, spray some of that emerald green on top of your freaking tequila. You're going to be spending a lot of time trying to make an olive drab color using the lemon. So it's like, when you're using your tequila, your lemon, you have to think, what do you want in the end result? It's like thinking ahead in a chess game. You got to figure out your strategy, figure out what's going on. Every now and then you call an audible, but you need to have that strategy going on there. So you can see drastically different colors. At the very, very tip, they're almost the same, but then you see the way that blends out and fades, and it's totally, totally different. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit longer and then put up the same piece of paper and then show you just using Carib blue, which is, that's definitely going to mess with the orange over here because it is a blue, and it's a Caribbean blue. Carib blue candy is like a bluish green. It's not a purpley or a reddish blue. So it is towards the green spectrum, but it's a lot more blue than emerald is, and you'll see the difference between it on this flame compared to that and it on the tequila flame compared to that. Went ahead and used the blower to dry this off, make sure the paper's not going to stick to it, and got my Carib blue in my Clip CS. You can see this is quite a bit, this is very blue compared to the emerald green, but the great thing about Carib blue is you come in real light with it as you're going down. It is a great green when you're going over a lemon yellow. It's a great color overall. But it is a little bit on the strong side, so it won't give you that real bright limey green. Keep on drying that. I'm not even spraying it that wet. I just want to get it really strong at the top so it's almost a blue tip up there, or almost a turquoisey tip. And let's go over here. While this is thinking about it and drying, let's go hit it over on the tequila and see what it does there. See, the first thing it does is does that olive drab color. That's cool, nothing wrong with that. Now, you can call this, I've had people refer to this as a dirty fade. When you're doing a contrasting color over another candy, even though they're both very highly transparent, this is a very light translucent candy, but when going over a contrast, or complementary, sorry, when going over a complementary, it's going to create that dirty color, which actually can work. It's kind of a cool effect. Go ahead and use the blower a little bit, get this a little bit dry. Get it dry for me to come in here. Normally when working on an entire car, when you're going around doing flames on the whole car, when you're tipping them, by the time you get done to the other side of the car, you come back, it's already dry for you to go back and do it. So when we're working on just 2 flames, it's a little bit more difficult waiting for that paint to dry. And that's all the blue I'm going to put on there. It'll never get pure blue, because understand, a true candy doesn't have a base built into it. No matter how many layers you put on it, a true candy will eventually tend towards black, but it'll never actually completely change a color if the color underneath it is a little bit different. So I'll never get a pure blue out of it because I've got an orange or an orangish yellow and a yellow here. It'll always kind of kick it towards that green side. And it's not just the colors blending in and melting and actually reactivating. It's just the fact that by nature it's never going to quite do that. The same way if I went a blue and I put yellow on top of that, it would turn green, but it would never expect it to ever turn a pure yellow unless you had an opaque paint. The difference between candies and opaques or translucents is that a candy is completely determinate on its base color. It'll eventually goes black when you get it so thick that the light cannot penetrate, because the way it happens, you layer up your candy, the light goes all the way through, hits that base, comes back up there. So if you have 4 layers of candy, it's actually the light has to penetrate 8 layers of paint. 4 down, reflected, 4 back up. And then the color your eye sees, it's what's left over. When you get it so thick that the light can no longer penetrate to the base, that's when you get that really dark black color. No matter what color, even yellow will tend towards black. Back in the old days, you hear of like 40 coats of hand-rubbed candy apple red, and it looked almost black, because freaking 40 coats. I mean, hand-rubbed, some of those are rubbed off, but you get my drift. Candies are determined on their base and their layers. Go ahead and unmask this, and we'll see how that color looks by comparison. And you can see this one, it's quite a bit darker, because of course the blue is a darker pigment than the emerald, but the emerald still is emerald's always going to be more green than this. This gets a little bit darker. You know, on its own, this looked green, but compared to this, it looks blue now. Same thing on this side. This is a little bit deeper than that side is. I'm going to go ahead and load up my other airbrush and come in from the bottom. We're just doing a single color grabber orange on both, so you can see what orange does on the bottom of both of these flames. Went ahead and got my other Eclipse and loaded it up with grabber orange, and it's not pure grabber orange, by the way. It's grabber orange mixed 1-to-1 with the UVLS 4050 and then a little bit of the 4011, and of course 15 minutes. I mean, I keep on saying it, but trust me, 15 minutes. And I'm going to blend this up just really lightly. I don't want to, it's an airbrush so it doesn't spray in a fan pattern, but I can mimic the fan pattern by being really careful on how I blend it going up. And you see how that goes up on that one, and then let's see how it appears over here. It doesn't seem to have that much of an effect on the right side because it's already kind of orange. You never really realize how orange it is till you see how little the orange really affects it. It still looks good. In my opinion, the orange will always look brighter on this side than this one because there's enough blue in that yellow, that lemon, just a little bit to kind of act as a complement and kind of mess with that orange. It looks good, but it has a little bit of a dissonant color. If you hear like in music, you hear dissonant tones work together. Complementaries are the same way. They're a little bit different, and they kind of, when they're side by side, they look one way. When they're mixed, they're another. So I'm going to keep on blending this up until I get it really dark down there. And same thing with this one. I don't want it to get up and mess with my green. I want a little bit of the yellow popping through, not much, just a little bit. You see, I don't really need to use the air that much on this. It just dries a lot faster. Well, it's not that it's drying faster, I'm using less paint because this pigment, this one color, it covers a lot faster than the other ones do. candy apple red, or the blood red, will do the same thing, and then the violets are even more. I'm going to use this just to make sure it doesn't bleed on me under the tape. Now you see I touched that one area there and it kind of lifted a little bit because it was still wet. That's why do not touch the flames. Touch the tape next to it. And always spray your airbrush before you go on there, because otherwise you'll grab a green when you meant to grab the orange. That would have been fun. Cool. That's about all. I don't want to get too dark down there, but that's all I'm going to do on this right here. Let it dry a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and unmask it so you can see the silver in the background. But you see the difference is this, very similar oranges, but it does have a drastic different effect when you're dealing with the greens. These are quite a bit different by comparison. The orange, not so much. Why? Because the orange is really dominating this color. If I came in, like I said, this right here, this color and this color are very similar almost, because why? The blue's dominating. The Caribe blue here and here are both dominating the yellow more. But the orange really comes in, and the orange, remember this is lemon yellow and it's tequila yellow, but it's still yellow. It's primary, it's just tinted one way or the other. Orange will definitely come in, because orange is nothing but another primary red mixed with yellow. So you're going to have, of course it's going to dominate. It's got two different colors. It's got two colors that go very well with yellow. Reason I did this video is I want you guys to see that this is all experimentation. If you go buy yourself a color theory book and buy something this thick, you just wasted your money. Color theory book about this thin, or just a small color wheel, most of it is experimentation. Don't let anyone tell you that color doesn't go with this color and vice versa. You can make any color work. It just takes being clever, following a couple of the rules, and more likely experimenting. You'll develop your own style, your own technique, your own color palette by experimenting, not using somebody else's. It's nothing wrong with borrowing colors from other people, but I hope you're doing that so you can develop your own as well. So I hope this helped you out a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and unmask it for a final shot, and then we'll go from there. Okay, got all of the masking tape off here. We had a couple little bleeds. It wasn't from the vinyl tape. It was actually me, probably from me wiping that sucker down when I got it too wet, and it bled through. But guess what? Nice thing about this candy, a little bit of 4011 on the towel, clean as a whistle, no problem whatsoever. Main point of this video, not to talk about my screw-ups. You can see those in any video. It's basically to show the color theory. I wanted to show you the opportunities and things you can do with your lemon yellow as well as the tequila yellow, and the differences between them. There's no real disadvantage between the colors that we used here. I think the only thing that would have been a freaking nightmare or a freak show would have been if I came in and tried to take violet and blend it in over a yellow, because that usually gets kind of nasty. But you can do it if you came in with a magenta first. So there's always little tricks you can do, and we're just going to continue doing these series of candy color theory videos, just show you little neat little tricks and things that we do in the industry. And also, if you guys have any requests and you say, hey, I really like to see this color, I'd really like to know how to make this color or do that, we're more than happy to listen to you. And if you have any other questions that I did not answer in this video, go check out the creatextech.com. They've got a bunch of questions already on there, and you can go over to the Createx Colors YouTube channel, which has a bunch of videos, and we're constantly upgrading and uploading new videos all the time. And don't forget, you can always check out on Tuesday my podcast, This May End Badly, which, I mean, look, I can't get through a video without making half a dozen mistakes. Take advantage of it. You'll learn a whole lot from watching me screw up. So hope you've enjoyed this video. My name's Craig Frazier, and I'm here at the Createx Colors facility in Connecticut, and I will see you next time.
Hey guys, we are back in the booth. It is the next day, and unfortunately Craig had to hop on a plane to get back home. So we cleared up this panel this morning, and now you guys can really see that silver sealer. And that is two generous coats of Hot Rod Sparkle white over that silver sealer in the background. And now that it's cleared, I think you really get that effect. So Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you guys next time.